It is time once again for the weekly wrap-up. These are stories that I collect throughout the week, but I did not have the opportunity to do a full video on, but I want to touch on them here in this video. So let's start with this. This week, there was a recall in California. People in California decided to stick with Gavin Newsom, which I think was the right decision. But here you have Eric Ball tweeting out here, the map on the left is the recall results. The one on the right is the current COVID situation. So the orange voted for to keep Newsom. The blue voted to not. And look at this. It's, exact, almost exact. You have here people not taking COVID seriously in these counties, getting sick, taking in a lot of obviously bullshit information from their Facebook news feeds about vaccines. And these are the ones that our conservatives voted against keeping the governor. And yeah, very, very interesting. Next one here. Dylan Burns, who I quite enjoy. He's a great political streamer, but shares these two images without comment. Here you go. I'll read through them. Laura Loomer says here, I hope I get COVID just so I can prove to people I've had bouts of food poisoning that are more serious and life-threatening than a hyped-up virus. Have you ever eaten bad fajitas? That will kill you faster than COVID. Well, let's skip to today. Laura Loomer sending this message out. Just pray for me, please. Can't even begin to explain how brutal the body aches and nausea that come with COVID are. I am in so much pain. This is honestly the worst part about it. I just don't understand how people can be so stupid. How many stories do we have to see? And I got another one coming up of people who are anti-vax and or anti-mask, get COVID, go in the hospital and say, I should have got the vaccine. It happens over and over and over and over and over again. And really, we only hear about the high-profile examples. There's been, I think, 6 high-profile AM radio hosts, conservative AM radio hosts that were anti-vax on the air, and then got COVID and died. So there's obviously, thousands more who are just civilians that's happening to because they're taking in a lot of this bullshit misinformation. But it's just, this is the kind of thing, if you have anti-vaxxers in your life, I don't know, maybe this would swing them. Seeing someone like Laura Loomer, who is a conservative, who was, COVID is nothing, I hope I get it. And then she gets it, and she is having a really hard time with it. So maybe this will change some minds, but I doubt it. This story, rationing healthcare. We always hear about, Medicare for all. Cannot have a universal system, cannot have Medicare for all. You'll have to ration care, as if Americans don't already ration care based on wealth. The difference is in other countries, care is rationed based on need. So if I'm in Canada, if I am in a car accident and I need emergency surgery, I'm going to get that immediately. Whereas, if I have an elective surgery that can wait a few months, that isn't a big deal, then I'll wait a few months and get that surgery. That's rationing in universal systems. Rationing in the American system is based on wealth. But now it's even got to the point where they're just rationing because they have to, because of COVID. So here you have Idaho hospitals begin rationing healthcare amid COVID surge. And not just Idaho, Alaska. Alaska's largest hospital says the strain of COVID is forcing it to ration care. So on top of rationing based on wealth, you also have just general rationing based on the fact that there's a lack of hospital beds. So yeah, just another example of how full of shit the arguments against Medicare for all really are. Glenn McGregor here, tweeting out this hilarity. Conservative leader Erin O'Toole, of course, conservative leader, Canadian Party, canceled a scheduled interview with CTV News for our series of sit-downs with party leaders running this week. He would not reschedule. Unfortunately, we had Justin Trudeau last night, Jagmeet Singh tonight, and Anthony Paul in next few days. So why all of a sudden would the conservative leader cancel this interview? That likely would have been very easy. It's CTV News. I used to work for CTV News. Not the most left-wing channel, not at all. So it would have been an easy interview for him, but decided not to do it because likely because of what is happening right now in Alberta with their conservative government. Proof of vaccination program announced in Alberta as state of public health emergency declared. So apparently, the conservative government in Alberta, the UCP, they were going to wait until the election day, to finally do this. But the cases of COVID are so bad in Alberta that they had to do it now, even potentially in the process hurting Aaron O'Toole and the federal conservatives by doing so. But they had to do it because they couldn't wait any longer. So now Aaron O'Toole has to avoid the press because he doesn't want to have to talk about this. Because before, a few weeks ago, he was praising the UCP and their handling of COVID-19, and clearly hasn't really gone well. Also worth noting here on that point, CEO of private healthcare company hosted fundraising event for conservative leader Aaron O'Toole. Aaron O'Toole previously helped promote the CEO's radical message about privatizing health services in Canada. So I have a video about this a few weeks ago. Aaron O'Toole discussing how we should have choice. We should allow provinces to include choice in healthcare. We all know what that means. He wants to allow further privatization of the Canadian healthcare system. So if you happen to be, for some reason, watching this video and you're on the fence between, I don't know, O'Toole, the Conservatives, and any other party, just be aware that this is a potential with the Conservative government. So it's very important that we continue investing more into our healthcare system and not further privatize it and turn us into the U.S. This story here, Alex Kane tweeting out, and you may have missed this due to all the coverage about her dress, but breaking news, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and Mark Pocan are leading a renewed effort to prohibit the delivery of U.S.-made bombs to Israel, the latest example of how Israel's May assault on Gaza spurred progressives to challenge U.S. arms sales to Israel. So this is fantastic to see. We're going to see how far this can go, based on how Democrats and Republicans generally treat Palestinians. But it's good to see this, and there continues to be, or there should be, a continued, effort to try and prevent any further atrocities happening by the far right-wing Israeli government against Palestinians. Last story here, because it's another day, another example. Anti-vaccine activist who said there's no epidemic dies of COVID. So this guy's actually in Israel, but they're all over. How many have we had? Be it AM radio hosts, be it just the general public. I've done several videos where people, their family, the husband and wife were anti-vax, and the husband got COVID. He died. She survived. But there's these stories over and over and over again. I just want people to understand, if you're in this camp, first of all, I'm surprised you got here. How are you watching this? But just do a simple search. People, or just this, anti-vax got COVID. Search that in Google. I'm sure you'll find many examples of people that were anti-vax that ended up getting COVID and either died or got very sick.